HOA Fight Club. I'm Raylene Schifano. Today I'd like to discuss if you have damages in your home or condominium, and this is mainly the condominiums, how you can reduce your property taxes. So when I had damages in the condo, we kept paying all these high property taxes. I think our property taxes were around $2,600 to $3,000 a year. So with all of our damages in the home, I felt that paying these property taxes, especially in a condo where we already pay property taxes with the condo association, I felt that we had all these damages, wind-driven rain damages, water intrusion, moisture, mold, the roofs aren't up to code. There was so many damages that I felt we shouldn't have to pay this much in property taxes. So I appealed the property taxes. When you appeal your property taxes, you get your little card in the mail. You only have 60 days, I think, in the state of Washington to appeal your property taxes. So what I did is I went online and I did the appeal. And in this process, I had to fill out a form. I had to show what I had to prove that I had damages and that my property wasn't worth the value that the King County was giving us for our home. And I think the value that they were giving us was like $262,000 for the condo. Well, I got a call a couple weeks later from the person that was in charge of our case. And he asked me, well, what is all of this that you have? And what I had sent was all of the HOA evidence. So I sent their inspections, the roof, the city of Kent had given them a notice of violation. So I sent the notice of violation. I had sent all the inspections that the HOA had done and used their evidence to prove that the property was not worth what they were stating it was. And in one phone call, the King County property guy told me that he agreed with me and that I wouldn't even have to go to the court. So my property value went from $262,000 down to $64,000. That is a huge drop in property value. So my property taxes that I was paying $335 a month for now went down to around $50 a month, which was a huge saving for us. Now, let me tell you why that's important that we do this. Because if a property is not up to code and you have 130 units in this property and everybody does this, now you have 130 homes that have wind-driven rain damage. Every one of those homes should be complaining to the King County, and if we all complained and they had 130 units that weren't paying property taxes, this would hurt the county. Then the county and the mayors and all of the city people and state people would start losing revenue. Once the government starts losing revenue because there's so many damages, maybe they would start taking people more seriously that we need help. And until homeowners start taking responsibility in their own hands, we are at the leisure of the government to keep raising our property taxes. And in the state of Washington, we are being taxed to death. So I think our property taxes in King County just went up 13% this year. 13% more. We are already paying high property taxes and getting nothing for our property. Remember, if you live in a condo association, your property taxes do not pay for your sewer, water, gas lines. In our property, we actually had to pay a lid tax for the road that went from in front of our property, down the street, up the hill. We had to pay $93,000 out of our HOA funds for the road in front of us, and I think it was like a 3-mile road around the city. Why does our community have to pay for those? And then you want to know what the board did? Instead of charging the homeowners the $93,000 as a special assessment, they charged the homeowners double and made a profit from the homeowners off of this. So think about that. The board doesn't have to have evidence of anything. They just told the people, the homeowners, what they should pay and profited from that. Homeowners can barely afford to pay their rent. Some of them live paycheck to paycheck, and yet everybody keeps taxing them and upping their dues. And oh, remember, we don't even get to vote whether we up our dues or not. We have to have 51% to deny a budget. So everything that the Washington state is doing is unconstitutional. We, the people, need to start voting and start taking responsibility for these actions of our legislators. So go out, make sure that you know what your property is worth. If there's damages in your property and you can see those damages, go to the city. Make the city be responsible for those damages. Go to the mayor, talk to the mayor, tell her, tell him, hey, look, there's all these damages and the city needs to help me be responsible. When I went to the city about the roofs, when I found out in 2015, I went to the city and asked if the roofs were up to code. And they said that they didn't have any permits. It took me years to get the city to react. I finally had to send document after document and receipts and everything to the city just to get the city to come out and act to bring those roofs up to code. Because what if one of those roofs fails? Then that could cause somebody to either get hurt or a possibility of somebody dying from a roof failing or falling in. How could the city take that responsibility of not making sure that those roofs are up to code? Those are important things. We have code guidelines for a reason. So let's make sure that the city and the state keep up with those codes. You should know what codes are required. Did you know that if somebody, especially in a condominium, takes off the vinyl siding off the walls, there has to be a permit to do that? That was the other thing that our property did not do. They kept taking off the vinyl siding and not getting permits and not having inspections, and that's why there's so much water intrusion. So if you live in a condominium association and your board is doing projects, make sure that they have permits, because if they don't get those permits, they're just causing further damages on your property, and that's why your property value goes down. So as you're paying higher property taxes and they want to ban single family homes, remember why. Because you're going to pay double property taxes, and they city and the state are not responsible for any of the repairs if something goes wrong. So make sure you hold your board accountable. Make sure they're keeping everything up to code, and if they're not, complain so you don't pay high property taxes. All right, I'll see you on the next one.